In today's video, we'll install PINN to a 1TB NVMe M.2 SSD. PINN allows you to download, install, and switch between multiple operating systems on your Raspberry Pi 5. This is ideal if you don't want to dedicate the installation to a single operating system. In this video, we'll install PiOS Desktop, Ubuntu, Kali Linux, LibreELEC, and Batocera to a single SSD. I'm John, and welcome to Wagner's Tech Talk. It's not required to install PINN to an SSD. You could use a microSD card. However, an SSD increases the reliability and speed. For that reason, I recommend using one, and that is what we'll use in this video. I'll use this Kingston 1TB NVMe M.2 drive in the PINN case. If you're interested in this case and need a detailed setup video, I'll place a link up above, and I'll also place a link in the description for the exact drive I'm using. The installation is easy. Just remove the cover, insert the drive, and secure it with the screw, then reinstall the cover. For the setup, I'll use the official Pi keyboard and mouse, but any will do. Insert the HDMI cable to the bottom HDMI port and plug in the USB-C power. Before we power it on, we'll first install PiOS to this microSD card, which will only be used to install PINN to the SSD. Now there are other ways to install PINN, such as using an adapter connected to your PC to write the PINN image to the SSD, as well as using an Ethernet cable and boot from the network. However, as every Pi 5 has a microSD slot, this method may be ideal. On a separate computer, download and install PiImager. I'll place a link below on where to download and install it if you don't have it already. Insert the microSD card into your computer, click the Choose Device button, and select Raspberry Pi 5 from the list. Click the Choose OS button and select Raspberry Pi OS 64-bit. Now click the Choose Storage button, select your microSD card, and click Next. When prompted to apply OS customization settings, select No. If you're sure you've selected the correct device, click the Yes button to write the image. This process will take some time, so I'll skip forward. Now click Continue, close out of PiImager, and safely eject the microSD card. Now we'll insert the microSD card into the Pi 5 and press the power button. At this point, you'll just follow the setup wizard and install the latest updates. If you need detailed instructions, you can check out the link above for a full walkthrough. Once PiOS Desktop is running, click the Raspberry icon in the upper left, then select Accessories and Raspberry Pi Imager. It'll already look familiar to you. It's the same tool we used on the computer. From here, click Choose Device and select Raspberry Pi 5. Now click Choose OS, scroll down until you see Miscellaneous Utilities Images and click it. Now click PINN and then PINN once more. Next, click Choose Storage and select your SSD. In this case, it's the Kingston 1TB drive. Click Next. Click Yes to erase everything on the drive. Enter the password you assign for PiOS Desktop and press Enter or click the Authenticate button. Once done, enter the password again. Click the Continue button and close out of PiImager. Now we'll shut down the Raspberry Pi. In the upper left, click the Raspberry icon and select Logout. Then click the Shutdown button. Once shut down, remove the microSD card. We won't be needing it anymore. Now, power on the Pi 5. The first time PINN boots up, you'll be prompted to connect to your Wi-Fi network. Click the Close button. Select your Wi-Fi network from the list. I'll select mine and enter my Wi-Fi password and click OK. PINN will then return a list of all the available operating systems that you can install. At the bottom, select your language, and from here it's simply a matter of selecting the various operating systems you want to install. I'll pick PiOS Desktop 64-bit with the recommended applications. I'll also pick Kali Linux, which is an advanced operating system for security network testing, reverse engineering, vulnerability management, and much more. I'll select an older version of Ubuntu, and under the Sailing tab, this OS may be useful to you if you're into sailing. Under Minimal, you can pick light versions of PiOS, that is, without the desktop interface. Under Testing, we'll find Batocera. Batocera is an operating system for retro gaming. I will select this option. However, I wasn't able to update to the latest Batocera version 40 release, and I hope this image is updated soon to that version. Under Games, it lists Recalbox 5, but the description reads it's for the Pi 4, so I'll go ahead and skip this one for now. Under Utility, you can add a project space or swap partition if needed. I'll place a link below to the PINN documentation if you'd like to explore this option further. Under Media, we'll find an option for LibreELEC, which is a popular Kodi distribution. I'll select this one for installation as well. The top menu bar has options for installing the operating systems, online help, information, and an option for clearing your selections. Clicking the More button at the right, you'll find a clone button to image to another storage device, info to open a browser and display more information regarding the selected OS, time for setting the current time, and reload repos, which will refresh the OS distribution list from the internet. Clicking More again will show a few more options, such as Edit Config, which provides a text editor if you need to make any changes. Info will display the GitHub repo details for PINN itself. Clicking More again will return back to the main options. We can now quickly review our selections. If everything looks good, we can click the Install button. I selected an option, Lineage 20 RPi 5, which may fail to boot. For this reason, I'll select No, and that I don't wish to continue, and then I'll deselect this option. Now, when I click Install again, PINN will warn me that the selected operating systems will be installed to the NVMe drive and all data will be deleted. I'm fine with that, so I'll go ahead and click the Yes button. A dialog will appear showing the nominal or minimal size for the OS and extra size allocated based on the size available on the drive. You can double-click into the extra MB field if you want to make any manual changes. However, I'll leave it as is and click the OK button. Depending on the number of operating systems you've selected, this process may take a while. Go grab your favorite beverage and come back later. After the installation completes, you should see this dialog that all OSs have been installed successfully. Just click the OK button, and you'll now be presented with a list of all the OSs that you selected. Keep in mind, each will need to be booted and set up individually. You can reorder the list however you want by selecting the OS and clicking the up or down buttons. If you checkmark the OS, that OS will automatically boot into that operating system after about 5 seconds once powered on. I'll select PiOS and click the Boot button. Once booted, you'll go through the typical setup wizard. And from here, you can use PiOS Desktop just as you normally would with a dedicated install. If you go into the File Manager in Pi Desktop, you'll see all the various partitions that PINN created. If you enter the password you assign for PiOS Desktop, you'll then see all of those partitions appear on the desktop. If you want to declutter the desktop, right-click on the desktop and select Desktop Preferences, then uncheck Mounted Disks and click OK. If you'd like to switch to another operating system after you reboot the Pi 5, you'll see the recovery mode indicator in the top left of the screen. You can press the Shift key, press the mouse, or press a button on a connected joystick to enter the recovery mode. Then press or click the Exit or Escape key. You can use the arrows to move up and down, or the D-pad on a connected controller and press the Start button to start the operating system. I'll go ahead and select Batocera. And within Batocera, if I move down to Updates and Downloads, there is an update available. However, unfortunately, if I attempt to update it, it returns an error that there's not enough space on the boot partition to update. I may be wrong, but I think the problem has to do with this version of Batocera, version 39. Hopefully version 40 will be available soon within PINN. Regardless, I was able to copy my games and play just fine. If you need a detailed setup guide for Batocera, I'll place a link up above to a dedicated video to help you get it set up. Within the recovery mode, you'll find some additional options that become available after the installation has been completed. One that you may find particularly helpful is the Alias option, which will allow you to change the name shown in the list. For example, I'd prefer to see PiOS Desktop 64-bit instead. So I'll change the name, and it shows up in the list. I'll now boot into Ubuntu. I've already gone through the setup process. Again, if you need a detailed video, I'll place a link up above to get you started. Ubuntu performs nicely on the Pi 5. HD YouTube video playback is also pretty decent. Here's a quick example and show you everything you need to get up and running with PiOS Desktop. If you're wanting to set up a media center, then LibreELEC with Kodi may be an option for you worth checking out. Switching over to Kali Linux, the default login and password is Kali, spelled K-A-L-I. Here you'll find a number of tools and scripts designed for security experts. There are a number of great videos available on YouTube for this tool suite if you'd like to learn more about it. That brings us to the end of another video. I hope that you found this video helpful. If you did, please let me know by clicking the like button. If you'd like to see more tech videos like this one in the future, simply click the subscribe button below and the bell notification so you don't miss out. Thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to talking with you again very soon.